Welcome Year 9s. This video is going to guide you through the next step with the photo montage task, and that's creating a digital representation of those photograms. So you need to be producing two designs. One design might be incorporating both stencils and producing a really color and shape driven pattern design as presented here on the screen at the moment. The remainder of the video is really a suggestion of steps that you might be applying. If you have used Photoshop, more so, and you want to look at different sort of effects that you might be applying or applying your design in a different manner, please go through and do so. That's what we want to see. We don't want everyone's designs looking a little bit too similar. So as I suggest, this is just really a prompt for what steps that we could be applying. When we're setting up, to make sure everyone has their design, I've noticed a lot of people don't have the toolbar here. So this preset is just under Window, Workspace, and then Photography. And then that will potentially just look like this, or like this, where we can go through and minimize it. And then that everything should be set up there. Please go through and open your stencil design. So I've just gone File, Open, found the location, and grab the stencil. We want to go through and just crop the stencil. So I'm using the crop tool here, and then I'm just going to crop it in a little bit more. And so we can do that. Crop that. And now we just want to improve the colors or the tones that we have here. So image adjustments and levels, and then mainly just using this, selecting the black eyedropper and then selecting somewhere black in here, and that will just increase it. Doing the same thing to the white will also improve, but my whites here look pretty light. And selecting OK. A number of you might want to invert the design as well, so making whatever's currently white black and vice versa. So that's just image adjustments and then invert. You'll notice I'll go pretty quick with this video, so make sure you're sort of watching it and then pausing, applying the effect or the technique that I'm applying, and then continuing. Don't just watch it all in the one go. Now the next step will be going through and selecting the area that we want to make the pattern out of. Doing this, you can be using the selection tool and selecting the whole area. You might be selecting a portion of the area, which you would have seen potentially with this one I've applied here. Or we can also make it so it's not just a box or a rectangular prism. If you want to rotate it, make it more of a diamond, go to Selection and then Transform Selection, and we can make that smaller, or we can rotate it and we can move it, so on and so forth. And then I can just select OK again, and we get that selection area. Another option you might be using is the ellipse tool, so circles and ovals could work also really strongly. And so this is going to be then defined as the pattern area. And so to do that, we're going to Edit, then down to Define Patterns, not currently working. Just try a rectangular box. It should be working. Define pattern. So sometimes I'm finding with the selections, it's not working as well as we want it to be. And then pattern, let's call it Test 7. And so this is obviously the pattern it's going to repeat and apply that sort of tile effect. Then I'm going to go OK. Now we're going to apply this pattern to a new file. So I'm going to go File, New, and then under Print, we can see A4, 300. Make sure the color is CMYK. If you're doing your design, you're getting no color. It's on that regular scan, and that's probably grayscale. So CMYK, so we get color, and just make sure the background's white. Otherwise, I'm found some of the designs aren't working because it's under transparent. Then we can fill our design by going Fill and selecting our pattern. It's the most recent one there. You can see I've got a number of others applied there. And then the effect that we're going to be applying it under. So maybe a spiral will look really interesting. Blending modes, you can have them turned on or off. And then I'm going to select OK, and it will then have this effect. And so we can play around with these adjustments as well. They can be quite drastic, so just play around with them a little bit, and you can always change it back to the different defaults or load your presets and select OK. and therefore we've made our fill area over the whole area. If you wanted to fill in just a small location, make that selection first and then go edit before you fill, and then that will fill within that space. And that's what I've done with this one. Now what we want to do is potentially just play around with color. So you can be using colors with selections here, but another really strong way is using layers. So opening this icon that looks like sort of two diamonds over the top of one another. And then I might just click on the lock so it unlocks it. And then therefore we should be able to, under, a layer adjustments tab here, select hue and saturation. And I'll just change the saturations. And so therefore we should be able to change the colors. Saturate it a bit more, make it a bit brighter. There we go. So colorize just to bring the colors into it, and then I'm applying that, and then I can minimize that. And on my layers palette, that is just a layer on top of, it's effectively like a blue screen on top of it. So I'm not actually affecting the bottom layer. And so what I might do again is just duplicate this layer, go yes, and I'll just call this one top just to differentiate it. And then on the top layer, I'll turn that back on. Top layer, I'm going to go edit free transformation. And I'm just going to rotate this so then we can see it is quite different. And then this layer, I want it to be above here. And I'm going to make this a separate color. So hue and saturation once again, colorize. Saturate it, blue, and that color will work quite well, and then minimize that. The other thing in terms of what I've applied on my one is just changing, we can see I've applied a linear burn to that layer, so then they can sort of interact with one another. So on this top layer, if I change that to linear burn, or one of the other effects, might need to apply it here too. And then these ones should be normal. It should be showing through. Obviously, it's not the best sort of example I've applied there. Where's our colors gone? It's gone back to normal. Minimize that. And so therefore we're starting to get those effects that we're after. So that's a good way to go through and just be playing around with different colors without affecting the overall layer and going through and modifying the whole thing. Now in your PowerPoint, you do need to go through and document sort of each step. And so using the history tab, which is this little icon up here, otherwise under window and then history, that will be able to show you those different steps that I've gone through and gotten to, whoops. So you can go through and see each one that I've applied there. Make sure you document that in your PowerPoint, those different steps, and you'll be able to get screen grabs of how you've developed it.